Here in YouTube land, and I'm about to start a new segment, which means I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back, and this is a little better. Let's talk a bit about Spider-Man. We're going to look back at the comics and what kind of went wrong for a couple years, and some things that went right, and how it got there. I'm a big fan of the comic book Spider-Man, especially the Amazing Spider-Man. I used to read it when I was growing up. I started reading it about the age of 3 or so, and of course, like most people, comics, books, stuff like that. I read anything back then. But being a kid that had epilepsy and spent a lot of time in the hospital getting tests and blood tests and all that done, and spending nights and stuff over, comics tended to be the thing that I would kind of like tend to lean to. And Amazing Spider-Man was one of my favorites. Peter Parker was a very relatable character, and for years it was one of those characters that I could always rely on to be, it was not always the greatest stories, just good quality stuff that I would like. The art was fantastic. He had some of the greatest artists work on Spider-Man, some of the greatest writers. As Spider-Man went on in the years, he went on and became a student. From student to a college professor. He married his second greatest love, Mary Jane Watson, and I say second greatest love because his first greatest, as anybody that watches the new Amazing Spider-Man movies know, was originally a character by the name of Gwen Stacy. Now, Gwen Stacy was a character that was meant to be Peter Parker's great love. She was brought into the comics, but then they brought Mary Jane around, kind of like almost as a foil type thing. However, some of the writers found Mary Jane more fun to write for, so some of the lines that were originally going to be given to Gwen Stacy were given to Mary Jane, leaving Gwen Stacy to be more of a blander, more annoying character than she should have been, which was a real shame since Gwen Stacy is a character that I really, really adored in the comics. Of course, as we know now, later on she was killed, and there's an even better version of her brought back in the Ultimate Spider-Man series, which sadly killed off their Spider-Man. Now, Spider-Man's death, which would happen later on, wasn't the first time Spider-Man actually died. There's actually a series called The Other, where it went really metaphysical and really strange. Not one of my favorite series. They basically have a character that kills off Spider-Man, and then they just basically take that all out, and he gets reborn. Now he has these web shooters that are kind of like real, kind of like in the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. So he has web shooters that are actually in his wrists, and he doesn't need to use that anymore. Anyway, that was done. Some people thought that wasn't the best. And then we had a storyline with Gwen Stacy having kids. Now, these kids she had with Norman Osborn. Completely out of character for Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy had sex with Norman Osborn and had children with him. The children were shipped off somewhere else and nobody knew about them. So, again, pissing off almost all of the Spider-Man fans. After this, they decided to do a storyline called One More Day. And One More Day was horrible. Basically, Peter Parker comes out during the whole Civil War crisis and says who he is. He has to deal with the backlash of people suddenly knowing that he's been Spider-Man all these years. One of the things that happens is that Kingpin, who's in prison at the time, sets a hitman out to kill, the people around Spider-Man, and he kills and he shoots and fatally injures Aunt May. Spider-Man goes around trying to find some kind of Deus Machina to help Aunt May live again. He goes into the prison and beats the crap out of Kingpin, and goes through Doctor Strange and everybody else to try and do it. Finally, he meets up with, let's just say, he sells his soul pretty much to bring Aunt May back. But bringing Aunt May back is going to have ramifications that he didn't know. A life had to be traded for a life. His wife was pregnant, and he didn't realize that. In the new molded history, because history would change, nobody would know that he was Spider-Man. He would wake up, and he would no longer be with his wife. That was, his relationship with Mary Jane would be gone. Their unborn child would be gone, and but Aunt May would be back alive, and for some reason, so would a couple other people. One of them being Harry Osborn, who was the son of Norman Osborn, and died as heroically as the Green Goblin. Now, this would go on for a while, and then the stories would get straightened away, and we would see him pretty much settle into this new universe. Though a lot of people wanted just to be pretty much back in the old universe, let him be married to Mary Jane again. If if Aunt May has to die, Aunt May's been in the comics for a long time. You can let Aunt May die. He'll survive. Then they decided. Well, Dan Slott decided, and this is where things really go to hell in a handbasket. That a great idea is to take one of Spider-Man's villains, Doc Ock, who for some reason the writer Dan Slott tended to be kind of obsessed with, and make him into Spider-Man. So what does he do? He kills off Peter again, sort of. There's a body switch with a gold like octa thing, and basically Doc Ock ends up in the body of Peter Parker. Peter Parker ends up in the dying body of Doc Ock, who is now taking the damage for all the fights he's had with Spider-Man over the years. And Peter Parker puts pretty much his essence of himself into Doc Ock to make him do well and not do bad crap. And then Peter Parker dies in the body of a frail and old Doc Ock, pissing off again almost everybody. Then they started a new series called Superior Spider-Man. The Superior Spider-Man series did have its fans, and I read a lot of the forum stuff around the time that the fans came out with for Superior Spider-Man, and I'm not a fan, but one of the comic book forums did have was frequented by Dan Slott and by the editor of Spider-Man at the time. And if that was actually them, they were complete assholes. They treated the fans extremely badly, and they got an amount of trolls that pretty much followed them around, which meant the forums were pretty much ungoable to if you were an actual fan of Spider-Man. So for 33 issues, Superior Spider-Man went on, and we were stuck with a Doc Ock Spider-Man. It did. I can't say it was a gimmick, and some people enjoyed it, but I gotta say I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was extremely well written. I always came across as a gimmick, and although Slott's idea was apparently to show that Peter Parker was the Superior Spider-Man all along, he kind of went it in the wrong way, and so Doc Ock actually, creepily enough, ended up getting fans of that version of Spider-Man, which is actually really disturbing considering you're thinking that this is a villain here who has stolen somebody else's body and has killed people over the years, and it was just a really creepy idea. The thought of the fact that that he could be with Mary Jane and she thinks he's Peter Parker creeped a lot of fans out. So any idea of that storyline coming to pass was quickly taken out of the works, because they didn't want to deal with the fact of unintentional, kind of almost like a rape culture thing. So that went out. After a while, of course, we found out that Peter Parker was in the body of Doc Ock, only to be killed off by Doc Ock again. However, at the end we find out that Peter was just hiding, wasn't dead at all, and in order for the world to be saved, or especially in order for the person that Dr. Octopus loves to be saved, well, Peter Parker's got to take over, and Doc Ock has to dissipate. I think Doc Ock is somewhere either within Spider-Man or has managed to transfer himself somewhere else, because I know Dan Slott, we have not seen the end of Doc Ock. Peter Parker now is back to pretty much status quo, but still the tarnish of the Superior Spider-Man storyline is there. It did manage to get different people back into Spider-Man, but I think in the long run, what they really should have been doing was focusing on actually writing a good story and developing the characters and cast that they had around Peter Parker, rather than just throwing gimmicks into it. Again, Slott is going the gimmick route again to do a storyline with all the Spider-Mans, which he said he wanted to originally do with the Doc Ock Spider-Man, not the Peter Parker Spider-Man, which he, although he tends to profess a great love for, I don't buy it. it seems like he's doing the comic at this point because, well, he's bored and that's just what he does. Hopefully, with him taking over the Silver Surfer comic that just came out, he'll be doing that, and we can get somebody that actually loves Spider-Man and doesn't mind like doing investing in the characters and the characters around Spider-Man. What made Spider-Man really great in the original was the fact that it wasn't just Spider-Man, it wasn't just Peter Parker, it was this wide cast of characters that made up this whole cosmos of Spider-Man's life, and they were so fleshed out and so well done that we can see people that turn bad or turn good, and we could actually believe in it and buy it and invest in it. It's been a while since we've been able to invest in Spider-Man because there's been way too many gimmicks along the way, but it can get back there. Spider-Man is the type of core character that can work. All it needs is a little bit of good writing, and hopefully we're going to see a lot of that. I have not checked out the new Amazing Spider-Man yet, except for the first couple issues, and they were okay, but they really have not gotten into some of the stuff that I want to see them go into. But then again, that's all this here is my opinion. I am Professor Pin, and you have been schooled. For me right now, it is time for tea.